Thanks for coming today, everyone. Hope you've enjoyed the home improvement fair. So my name is Stacy Boots Camp. I work at the Center for Energy and Environment, and my colleague Jim Hasnick will be jumping in at the end. He's kind of stationed at our booth downstairs, but he'll come and talk about financing. He's our lending center manager. So I've been working on the residential program at CE for 9 years. I used to do energy audits in the field, and now I work on outreach for the program. So today we're going to talk about some home energy efficiency opportunities, and then also how you can finance them if you're interested in that. So this is a nonprofit that we work for, the Center for Energy and Environment. We've been around for almost 40 years now working on energy efficiency. So we have programs for businesses, public buildings, schools, nonprofits, utilities, and residents. So we like to help people save money, be more comfortable, and also do good things for the environment. So we do a lot of research which informs the programs we design and deliver. We have a big engineering department. We also do a lot of education, such as this, and we work on public policy at the legislature. So we like to think of ourselves as being there for people every step of the way. No matter if you're looking at doing simple behavior change things like turning down your thermostat, or if you're all the way at the top of the ladder looking at renewable energy. We're here as a resource to help you with any questions that you might have. So what are some of the benefits of energy efficiency? I do have some prizes down at my booth. No?
Save money.
Yes, always the first one. So reducing your bills, that's definitely one of the benefits. By making your home more efficient, it should also increase the comfort. And you can also feel good by reducing your impact on the environment. So we've come up with a recipe for an energy smart home in our 40 years of working on energy efficiency in Minnesota. So that involves people having good habits, like turning down the thermostat, using good products. Always looking for the Energy Star label is a good step to making sure you're getting a product that has been tested. And then also making good investments. So finding out what your different options are for making energy investments in your house, and then going with what's going to be most suitable for your house and also save energy. So I have right here broken down into 4 sectors, the use of energy in a home. So about 10% of your energy use goes to water heating, about 15% towards using your appliances, 20% towards lighting and electronics, and then the biggest portion of it, of course, goes to heating and cooling our homes. So I'm going to talk about each of these today, give you a few tips, go over some opportunities for different upgrades in each level. So starting at the bottom of the house, the water heater is usually in the basement. Both for safety and efficiency, what's recommended is to have the temperature set at 120 degrees or below. Usually that's where the 2 triangles on the dial meet. So just at the next notch up, which would be 130 degrees, it only takes 30 seconds of the water running for someone to get burned. Whereas at 120 degrees or less, it takes longer than 5 minutes. So especially if you have any young children or other folks in the house that might like to turn on the water for a long period of time, just making sure that it's at 120 or below, because that's plenty warm, so you can save on your energy and also be safe. And then wrapping your water heater with a blanket, which is something that we offer with our energy audit programs for no cost. This will help provide an additional layer of insulation, so it's keeping the tank warmer, so it isn't having to use quite as much gas or electricity to keep the tank at that constant temperature. Another thing you can do in terms of making your water heater more efficient is just flushing it out once or twice a year, just to clean out the sediment on the bottom of the tank. So every water heater, tank water heater, has one of these little valves. It looks like a hose tap on the side of it. So you can either just put a bucket under there or connect a hose and run it to the drain. And the idea is just to clear this sediment off the bottom of the tank so that the heating element isn't having to heat through all of that sediment to keep the water warmed up at the desired temperature. So cleaning that sediment out once or twice a year, you only need to flush out a few gallons. You don't need to turn the water off or anything. That will also help prolong the life of it because then it's not going to prematurely rust out by having all of that sediment swirling around constantly. Another thing you can do in terms of water heating, 10% of the use of utilities in the home, using high efficiency shower heads and faucet aerators. These just introduce more air into the water flow, so it saves on how much water you're using and how much water you're having to heat. And sometimes people think, oh, well, it's not going to have any pressure, but oftentimes the pressure is better because it's like when you put your thumb on the end of the hose. It often will increase the pressure, which is nice. So a lot of these different models are available at the store. We also install them in our Home Energy Squad visits. And so these are a great way for saving, especially with the faucets, because we don't need a ton of water when we're brushing our teeth or washing our hands.
Would that have an Energy Star on that type of thing as well?
I don't believe that it would be right on the product. You might find some of the shower heads with the label on it, but the aerators are so small, they usually just come in like a little plastic sheath. But yeah, that's a great question. Another thing you can do with water usage is using either a dual flush toilet or a low flush toilet. Some of the older models use up to 6 or 7 gallons per flush, which is really a lot of water. And the newer models, they use, a 1.5 gallons for flushing. And so that's a great opportunity for saving as well. Appliances. Okay, about 15% here. Whoops. So how many people are already washing your clothes in cold water? All right, that's pretty much everyone. So this is great because up to 90% of the energy used when you're washing your clothes would go to heating the water if you're doing that. And so by washing in cold water, saves energy and also helps the colors of your clothes last longer, so you don't have to buy as many new clothes. And another way you can save with washing is by using these front load washers. Sometimes they can save up to 40 gallons per load just because of the technology that's different. So that's a great potential for saving as well. And as long as we're talking about washers, dryers, hand in hand. So up until last year, there was not an Energy Star rated dryer. I think it was 2018 now. In 2016, they came out with an Energy Star rated dryer. Basically, a dryer is a big oven, so it's not very efficient, but they've found a way to make them more efficient now. So you can get an Energy Star pair washer and dryer. Also, of course, line drying would be the most efficient way of all, but it's not always easy to do in Minnesota. So look at, yeah, basement, that works. I've seen it. People do that too. Helps to add a little humidity to the air, which we're lacking also in the winter. But if you are indeed using your dryer, we just like to make sure people are not using the flexible ductwork. In some cities, this actually is against the code. The flexible ductwork doesn't give the dryer a very good airflow, and it can become clogged with lint very easily. So what's recommended is the rigid ductwork, and then you can use foil tape to tape around the joints there, so it's really nice and tight, gets a really good airflow for your dryer, so it's not having to use as much energy. The rigid or the flexible ductwork can often look like that, even if you are emptying your lint trap. It does get in there, and so you can see how that could be a safety hazard in the home. And I just like to remind people, probably now is not a great time to get up on the side of your house to check your venting of your dryer, but maybe when the snow melts. Just making sure that this is closing and that it's not, filled with lint or a bird's nest or something, to make sure that that airflow is as efficient as possible. This lovely refrigerator would look great in my house. Green refrigerator. but it's clearly from the 1970s. And so we have a saying, if your appliance is old enough to vote, it's probably time to switch it out. This one's been voting since Jimmy Carter, I think. So probably time to go with a newer, less attractive model. This same size model uses only about $40 of electricity per year, whereas the older style probably uses close to $200 of electricity per year. So the technology has just changed quite a bit. So since the refrigerator is always running, it's good to go with an efficient model. And so I always like to remind people to check the energy guide because it rates like models to the one you're looking at. And also the Energy Star label, make sure you're looking for that. A few years ago, they came out with the most efficient. So that's like the top tier of Energy Star. So the Energy Star is very efficient, but then they have like an upper tier even of that. So that's what the most efficient label shows. And probably a lot of you, if you live in Bloomington, you have XL Energy as your electricity provider. So they have a refrigerator and freezer recycling program. That runs from March through October every year. So they'll come and pick up your second refrigerator and they will give you, I believe it's either $35 or $50. Best of all, I mean, they'll haul it out of your basement or wherever it is. So I encourage people to take advantage of that. And when you get your new fridge, not put your old fridge in your garage or your basement to chill the beverages. Just go ahead and recycle that so you can get it off your electric bill. Okay, lighting and electronics, about 20% of our energy use in the home. Anyone recognize this little contraption? Easy bake oven. Wish I would have bought one at the church garage sale I was at. No, I can't find one. So the way that these delightful goods were cooked was actually with an incandescent light bulb. And the reason that that worked is because with an incandescent light bulb, 90% of the energy that you're paying for that's being used is producing heat. Yes, not light. So tremendously inefficient unless you're cooking miniature cakes and brownies. So thankfully, we've made some evolutions in the past decade or two with lighting. And kind of the first wave that we saw come along were the halogen light bulbs. Now these use 10 to 20% less electricity, but they don't really last that long. So if you do use these, you find yourself having to switch them out a lot. And they do get really hot. So not the greatest product, but thankfully, just in the past year or two, there have been some really nice LEDs that have been designed to replace even the small halogens. So those are really great to check out. The compact fluorescent light bulbs were kind of the second product to come along, and these use 75% less electricity. People didn't always like how they performed, but they do save energy. They do also need to be recycled, so I like to remind people, especially here in Bloomington, you even have IKEA where you can bring them, that all of these places will recycle the compact fluorescent light bulbs for free. I just keep mine in a bin and I take them to Menards when I've got enough to bring in. So recycling those. So kind of the first wave of LED light bulbs, light emitting diodes that we saw come along were for more specialty uses like holiday lighting, flashlights, under cabinet lighting, the disco ball you maybe just put away after your New Year's celebration. All of those use the LEDs. And just in the past few years, we've seen all different styles of traditional residential applications for light bulbs be available with LEDs. So these are really great because they use 85% less electricity. How many people are already using a lot of LEDs? I still have a lot of CFLs in my house, but I'm moving this way. So these are really great. Some of them even last 25 years. So especially for those like really hard to reach spots, they're great to get them in there. And we do install these unlimited amounts in our home energy squad visits. I think we've even installed like 60 someone's house, and that's all included in the fee. So these are really, really nice products. I get a lot of questions. I actually just got one today from a gal, and she wanted to know how to figure out how to get a bright LED. And so what you want to look at is the lumen output. So the most traditionally used light bulb was the 60-watt incandescent light bulb. And so that produced about 800 lumens. So if you're looking for an LED light bulb that's brighter, you want to look for 800 or 900 lumens. If you want like a really bright one for maybe a sewing or a reading lamp, probably go over 1200 lumens because that will give you a really nice bright light. But it's hard to know because you can't measure it with wattage anymore. For instance, like this light bulb, which was using 12 watts of electricity a few years ago, that same light bulb now that's equivalent to the 60 watt only uses 9. So the LEDs just keep getting more and more efficient, so it's hard to go off the wattage. You also want to keep in mind the Kelvin temperature. So the 60 watt incandescent light bulb, the most common one, was right around 3000 in this Kelvin temperature. So if you're looking for something that's, you know, just real standard, you want to stay probably around there. For more of a work setting, you'd probably want to get up over 7000 in terms of the Kelvin temperature.
Just make sure I got that right.
Yeah.
The incandescent was around 3000? Or?
The like real standard 60 watt, yep.
Right. So if you're looking at a more efficient bulb, you'd still stick around.
Yep, so this kind of measures what sort of color temperature. And then the lumens on the box, that will tell you how bright it is. Yeah.
I read the number the brighter is going to be.
What's that?
The lumens higher is the bright.
Yep. Yeah, so like 1300, that would probably be like a 120 watt incandescent light bulb, like super bright. The lumens, yeah. Good questions. All right, can you see these little beady eyes staring at you? Creepy, huh? Here's my colleague Jim. He's not creepy at all like these.
I'm not creepy at all?
Not at all. There's this form here I'm going to put out for you whenever you want to fill it out, as long as you're here. Jim's going to jump in and talk about some other things at the end. So what is this? Maybe your family room. So it looks like nothing's going on in this room, but there's a lot of energy being wasted, and we call that a phantom load or vampire power. So anything with any sort of lighting display or soft touch keypad, remote control, these things are just ready to be turned on right away. So they're constantly pulling a trickle of electricity that you're paying for. So in order to stop wasting that energy and save yourself some money, you can manage your phantom load by either, well, I guess you could just unplug it from the wall, but I don't really want to get behind my entertainment center and unplug everything. So I've seen people set things up onto 2 different power strips, one that can be turned off and they're not going to annoy themselves too much by losing the programming, and then one that they leave constantly on because they don't want to lose the programming. We want to make energy efficiency easy for people, because if it's not easy, you probably won't keep doing it. So to manage the phantom load, just have the good habit of turning off that switch when you leave the room and turn off your lights too. So that's what we call Toby, turn off lights behind you. Good habits. This boy right here put up signs all over his house because his brothers and his parents weren't very good at turning off the lights. So he made these signs to remind them. And then you can also turn off, you can find these power management strips where some of them have this remote control. You can mount it on the walls, flip that off when you leave the room, and cut that phantom load. Each one saves you, every entertainment center that you put on one of these power saving strips will save you about $10 to $15 a year. And that's probably how much something like this costs. These are a little bit more, maybe like $30 a year, but hey, 1 to 2 year payback, that's pretty good. And you can feel good because you're doing something to help the environment and not waste energy. All right, made it up to the top of the house here. Biggest chunk. How many people already have a programmable thermostat? And is it programmed? Keep your hands up. Yeah, that's the key right there. So programmable thermostats are great. We like to say you can just set it and forget it. So you can program them to save while you're sleeping, if you're gone during the day at work. By doing 8 degrees for 8 hours with those 2 setbacks, at least 5 days a week, will save you roughly around $100 a year. So that's a decent chunk of money. And if you're not home or you're sleeping, the house doesn't need to be that warm. And you can also do the saver switch with Xcel Energy, where you get the rebate for participating in the summer. So you can set your thermostat up in the summer when you're gone, and then just lower it down before you get home so you're not dying of a heat stroke. But that's another great program to look at. And that kind of goes into the smart thermostat. So this is kind of the new wave. Does anyone already have a smart thermostat? All right. We just started installing these a few months ago in our Home Energy Squad program, so we have these available too. So these you can control with your phone. They're kind of cool. You can get a lot of feedback. You get a little leaf awards with the Nest one if you're saving more energy than your neighbors. So they're kind of fun. And then I've thrown in some tips just about good habits that people can do with heating. So I don't know if any of you have radiators, probably not that many people here in Bloomington. But just bleeding the radiators is a good thing to do. Also, you wouldn't believe how many houses I went into when I was doing energy audits where people didn't know they had a furnace filter or that they didn't need to switch it out. And so they do need to be switched out at least once a year, some more frequently. But that just helps to protect your furnace and, get the junk out of the air so you're not breathing it in. And I just like to remind people, I know probably all of you are very good about this, but not everyone is, so I just throw it in there. Some other things that you see when doing energy audits, that a lot of furniture ends up in front of the registers, and so then you're not getting a very good airflow. The cold air can't be pulled back into the furnace to be reheated if there's a big couch in the way. So just making sure that you can try to get the furniture out of the way to pull the air back into those returns and then supply it where it needs to go. Other things you can do, just if you can see the ductwork in your basement, taping around all of the joints will tighten up the system so the air is being delivered more efficiently to wherever it needs to go. Just a couple things there. So there are a lot of things that you can do yourself to make your house more efficient. Caulking around the windows, putting the plastic on, putting the gasket seals on the outlets on the exterior walls. These are all great things to do. But ultimately, if you're feeling like your house is really drafty, chances are that you're losing a lot of heat from the conditioned heated space of your house to the unconditioned attic space. So anything with any sort of, anything penetrating from this heated level to the unheated level, attic hatches, chimney stacks, if you have any ductwork, light fixtures, all the wires that run, they all have little gaps around them. And if they're not properly sealed, that warm air that you're paying for is going to go up and out, and then in turn it's going to pull in cold air from outside, which makes it feel really drafty and uncomfortable. So it's hard to know if you're not experiencing ice dams or having really dry air in your house is another indication that your house might be losing a lot of energy. So if that warm, moist air gets out of the house, it's going to pull in that cold, dry air, and then you're going to feel like you need to use a lot of humidification, which also uses electricity that you're paying for. Ice dams. So this year is probably actually going to be a really good one for ice dams to spot those ice dams. And then that's almost a surefire sign that you're losing some heat, because the insulation kind of just acts as an air filter for air movement. So unless you can have plenty of insulation, but if that air sealing hasn't been done underneath the insulation, that warm air is still going to rise up and out. And then when it melts, it travels down and freezes over the unheated soffit. If it gets bad enough, and I've seen this happen, it backs up into people's houses and kind of runs down the walls, and that's not what you want. That gets really costly.
Do you guys, like CEP, if you do have that, maybe know what's happening in the attic, is there a program through CEP to deal with it?
If it's what? Mold.
Yeah, if mold does not enter it.
We do the energy audits and we offer financing. We do a lot of like research and stuff, but we refer people to other programs and contractors. Yeah, and we do have a whole team of energy advisors who have been energy auditors that connect people to next steps, because every house is different and the steps that people need to take are different. So yeah, we have a whole team of folks that help people along the line there. So this is an actual cutout. So as you can see, there's plenty of room for that air to get out of the attic. And the darkened insulation, wherever you see darkened insulation in the house, maybe like in the rim joists in your basement, or if you get up in your attic and you see darkened insulation, you can tell that that's where there's a lot of air movement. So here's just another picture of some of the opportunities for air sealing in the attic. So either with a spray foam or caulk, those gaps need to be sealed before then the insulation is added on top. So it's hard to figure these things out, because how many of us really go climb in our attic? But there are ways you can look at the darkened insulation. If you see cobwebs, those are signs of air movement. But we have a great program here in Bloomington. Our Home Energy Squad program is paid for, half of the visit is paid for by the HRA, so it's a great deal here. So we visit 1 to 4 unit buildings. There are other programs for larger buildings offered by the utilities. We also can connect people with the electric appliance saving program. And then that's for income qualified households. You can get free refrigerators, air conditioners. It's a really great program. So what happens at an energy audit? So the ones that we conduct, the Home Energy Squad visits, are about 2.5 hours. We do the testing with the blower door test. We look at the insulation. We check the heating system and water heater. If there is the recommendation for improving the insulation levels, our energy auditors have actually been trained by contractors to write up a quote for people that's honored by contractors. And this has been a new addition to our program. People really love it, because then they don't have to take, an additional 3 or 4 days off of work. So we're a nonprofit. We don't get any money from this. We're just trying to help people make their homes more comfortable and efficient. So I kind of already said these things, but we just want to make it easy for you and give you kind of a peace of mind that you've brought your home to a basic level of efficiency and that you're doing what you can. So here's some more pictures of what we do. We'll use the infrared camera along with the blower door if there's at least 15 degrees difference from the outside temperature to the inside temperature, which there often is. And so we'll put all of the recommendations and those images into a nice report for you with next steps. And bonus, we also, what's that?
Time of year better or less to do your energy audit?
We do it all year long. Yeah, we visit homes almost every day of the year. So we can always do the testing. So the bonus is we also install products like programmable thermostats, door weather stripping, high efficiency shower heads, faucet aerators, water heater blankets, LED light bulbs, all of these things, no additional cost. We just want to help people start saving right away. And this program is very highly subsidized by the utility companies, CenterPoint Energy and Xcel Energy. It helps them meet their savings goals, so that's why it seems like an incredibly good deal. So here's a copy of the report that we give you. This is the front page. It also gives your home an energy score. And so that kind of shows, where you're at and the recommended next steps, prioritized in order of what's going to help your home the most, the estimated cost, and then any rebates that you might be able to achieve. And like I said, we can write up the quote if there is that recommendation. And here's a few of our energy advisors that help people with any questions they have on contractors, next steps. You brought up like the mold issue. Some homes have vermiculite in it. There's all kinds of different things that come up. So they're there to help people take those next steps. And like I said, usually it's $100, only $50 in Bloomington and many of the surrounding communities here. And we also do have free visits for income qualifying households, and we can qualify people for the energy appliance saving program. And so if you are interested in scheduling, you can do that later on after Jim's done talking. But I just like to let you know that it's available, and Jim's going to talk to you a little bit about some of the home improvement financing to help people complete these recommendations that come up.
Mine's very quick. Financing is not an interesting topic, so I'm going to go.
Jim.
Where are you located?
We have 2 different offices. We have one office in downtown Minneapolis, and then our residential field office is in St. Paul. Yep. Are there any other questions?
My name is Jim Hasnick. I also work at CE, and I guess I wanted to ask first, is everyone here live in Bloomington, or what city? Any other cities? Bloomington does have their own home improvement program, which I will touch on in a second. But what we do, where I've been at CE, I've been here for 24 years, we do financing programs with Minnesota Housing Finance Agency, Department of Commerce, and we administer a lot of different programs throughout the metro area, programs like Bloomington that they have. Bloomington does have a 2% loan, and they have a 0% deferred loan depending on income. But if you don't meet those income requirements, people need ways to pay for new heating systems, air conditioning, solar. Once you have all this done, do you want to go to the next step and do solar? So there are a lot of other programs that are out there. Currently, again, we work with Department of Commerce, Minnesota Housing. There are 14 cities that we administer their loan programs for as well. Hennepin and Ramsey County, we do some CDBG programs and some deferred programs. Small business lighting, commercial program for Xcel Energy. With CenterPoint, it's going to roll out hopefully end of this year, early next year, where people are going to be able to actually pay for their energy improvements on their utility bill if they're a CenterPoint customer. So that is going to be coming next year, that we'll be administering that program as well. And then we have some geothermal programs in Great River Energy areas too. But on this end, we do have an energy loan program. It covers your HVAC, your water heating, windows, doors, insulation, solar. Interest rates can vary from 0 to 7.99% depending on income, where you are at. But honestly, our energy loan that's statewide that we usually use is at 4.99%, and that's through Minnesota Housing Finance Agency that we administer. We also have home improvement programs. So if you're looking at doing some insulation as part of a kitchen remodel, or you're going to be adding an addition, you're doing some insulation there, or you're just finishing your basement or your upstairs. We do have home improvement programs as well that are also available statewide. And then on the commercial side of things, if you have businesses, we do have commercial financing also for energy improvements, from refrigeration to solar to your heating systems and geothermal things like that. That's really all I have, because like I said, there's not a lot to it, just more specific questions. I just wanted to let you know that there are programs out there if you need the funding to follow through with these projects that you discover through having the audit, or just want to move forward with something else. So, any questions for either one of us? Or?
Well, I was going to ask for a business card, but I see your phone number up there, so I'm just going to copy it down.
Okay. I have my card too. I'll give you my card as well. Or does anyone want to come up and?
Solar.
Yeah.
I'm going like my new last year when my furnace blew up. Anyway, so I have a new furnace and air conditioner made, and I'm very interested in solar. Did I defeat my own purpose? I mean, you have to have a furnace that's powered by the solar.
Yeah, I mean, no, not at all. I mean, we would always recommend, having the audit done, doing these types of things, the insulation, your bypasses, sealing all those first. I mean, the cheapest energy is the energy you don't use. It's free. So by saving it, by doing these other things, that's your best your best start. Solar is, if you're thinking about doing solar, the next couple of years is the time to do it. Federal tax credits right now, there's a 30% tax credit. After 2019, that tax credit starts going down. By 2022, they will be gone. So it's 30% up through 2019. Then I think it ballpark goes on to 25, 2015, and then it's gone. Excel also has a solar rewards program where they actually pay you 8 cents per kilowatt you produce throughout the year. So you actually get a check at the end of the year. An annual system is Minnesota Home is about a 5 kilowatt system. What that means to you is it's around 20 grand. And between the tax credits and the other rebates, the paybacks can honestly be between like 6, 7, 8 years. So it's pretty quick. So if you're thinking about doing it, tax credit and everything is it's time to look at it now. There's community solar gardens out there that are being built. But if you have the access to the sun and the space, and you're going to be living in your home for 6, 7, 8 years, honestly, purchasing it is a better option. If you have too many trees, you don't want to cut down trees to put in solar. But just think about that. Community solar gardens are good, but if you're going to be in your home for a while, it's
Solar shingles.
yes. Solar shingles are they're still being introduced in California right now. They're being used. Yes, they're being used, but honestly, the testing, there's not a lot of long-term testing on how they've actually been working and the durability and the actual testing. I mean, the regular solar panels have been around for decades, for a long time. There's going to be solar windows are going to be coming out. So there are going to be new products, but it is new. And I wouldn't say unproven because they've been tested, but not long-term. And they're very expensive as well. If you're looking for a payback, that's not the way to go. Aesthetically, people probably like those more. Yeah. I'm trying to think anything else. Any other questions at all?
When did you put solar panels on? Who maintains?
They're very honest. Solar panels are honestly very, very no maintenance. Honestly, you could go up and wouldn't recommend it because you don't need to raking out like getting the snow off of them, but they're usually put on an angle. And once any little piece of that solar panel is exposed, it heats up so quickly from the sun that it does just melt off and roll off. Usually you might need to give it a couple days. In the winter, in Minnesota winters as well, the sun is not as high it's not as high of a producing time of year as well. So you're not losing that much if you miss a day or two while the snow's on there, but it does go off very quickly. You'd want to let your insurance know. They're usually covered. Your insurance typically will not go up. Most of the systems that I've seen, they're rated baseball size hail, and they're very durable. And the maintenance is nothing. The only maintenance you want to think about before you do solar, if you do solar, is make sure your roof is up to date. You don't want to, in 5 years, put a solar system up and have to replace your shingles in 5 years. So you have to take everything off, put them back up. So that's something else to think about.
If you are just re-shingling, color of shingles make a difference? I think passive solar and your heatiness or, I don't know if you...
Are you talking on the solar or just in general?
In general.
If your home is properly insulated and everything, No. That's I
I know
don't.
that in California, they have
Oh, lighter.
programs with the lighter shingles or painting the roofs white and the roads white, and it will have less solar gain.
Yeah.
But you're right. If the home is properly insulated, then
I'm also thinking of, the streakiness. Half of me thinks that, laying the airport's runway and they're dispersing their fuel and this black crap comes filtering down, or is it, shingle loss and that's why you're streaking? I don't know why there's, I have light shingles right now, so I don't know why I have streaking.
there's probably some roofing people downstairs
Yeah,
that
I
can
don't
answer
know.
your question.
I don't know.
Oh, there's a lot of vendors down there you could go talk to. Yeah.
With solar panels, do you need a storage system or can you tie into the electric grid?
The question as far as tying in a solar system or panels, and there, I know Tesla now has a new solar battery wall or power wall. Most homes just tie into your utility. You can, it's very expensive. You can be self-sustaining and just be all battery, backup with battery. Most of them is net metering. And what that means in Minnesota is what you produce is you are credited on your utility bill. If you use more than you produced, you have to pay that difference. If you produce more than you use, you will get a credit on your utility bill, and it saves for those months that you haven't used it. So it is called net metering, so it's tied into your meter. But what that does mean is if there's a power outage, you have no power, just like as if you didn't have solar. Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people, if you for medication purposes or you want to back up, you can do small battery backups to maybe power a small refrigerator or something for medications or things like that. So you can add those things on, but most of them are just directly tied into the utility grid. Does that answer your question?
Your own battery pack is probably in addition to the 20,000 maybe.
It would. I don't know the cost on them. Let's say it's $1,000 or less. I don't know, but because you can buy different size battery, backup
Those
systems.
two Tesla ones.
Those are expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, those are $6,000 to $8,000. Those Tesla Power Walls that they've come out with. So
I saw them advertised with the
Yeah.
solution.
yeah.
The LEDs have a faster response than fluorescents.
Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't say almost
Almost instant.
instantaneous.
Yeah.
So they don't need to warm up like the CFLs.
They come on just as fast, and then if they're outdoor,
Yep.
so you take a regular LED bulb and you put it out in your garage, if it's 20 or minus 10,
Yep.
you take that same bulb and put it in the house. Are they gonna start the same, are they gonna have the same lumens?
Yep.
Yeah.
I have all LED lights on the outside of my house and instant brightness.
Do they need to warm up and get brighter?
Nope, they're just on.
Okay. I must have a
I did have issues with one of mine that was outside in the cold where it did take a while. Actually, I had an LED one, but it was an older. Things have come a ways in the last year or two. So
For my LED bulbs, batteries plus lights now, maybe as informational as, say, Home Depot or something, half a dozen?
The information that they have.
Yeah, accurate information for,
A really good resource for the light bulbs is the Right Light Guide,
RIGHT.
and you can find it on the CERT's, the Clean Energy Resource Team's website. They have those, and we actually give them out at our home energy audits. They're in the packet, the Right Light Guide. But a lot of the stores do have pretty good displays now with the information about the lumens and the Kelvin temperature. Not all of them, but I've seen a few good ones out there. Did you have a question, Bill?
No, I was just gonna say, Excel came out with an energy audit, and they replaced all of our incandescent lights with compact fluorescents, and they're driving me crazy, because it takes so long. So I've had to go back and put incandescents back in. Like in the closet, so forth, you know, I mean, it would take 2 minutes for the light to get bright enough so you can see what you're taking out. In the bathroom, we had floods, and it takes about 2 minutes before the nightlight, there's enough brightness so the nightlight goes out. And
With the fluorescent light bulbs? Well, since you put your incandescent light bulbs back in, we could come out to your house and put in all LEDs now.
Yeah.
That's what we
That
install.
$50 will pay for it, so.
Yeah, that's what we install in the home energy squad now. We can't switch out compact fluorescent light bulbs because there isn't much energy savings there, but we'll switch out the halogens and incandescent light bulbs with the brand new
LED.
LEDs that work very well.
That was a question I had. I have recessed cans, and they on ceiling, and they're incandescent, and I'm seeing scary things like rust, and these are old fixtures. So I bought new LED fixtures, but it's like this versus like this. Do I take out that whole thing, put it into this size, and then fill it with insulation up in my attic? You know, or
I guess it's
this is getting deeper into maybe a contract.
Is that the electrician?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'll ask later.
I don't want you to burn anything down.
Yeah.
We don't want to give you any information.
Just want to get those scary things out of it.
the LEDs do not get hot though at all.
They don't.
So
Which is
that's a
Yeah.
really nice
Yeah.
part of
I
it.
just don't want that big, 4-inch now gap in my insulation. It's just a big panel that I need for.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it's pretty simple to look up when you asked home energies for.
Yeah, I could even look it up for you right on my computer. Yeah, just the address. I can just look it up that way. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I don't mean to be picky about it, but if we do call you guys out when we do an energy efficiency, what temperature LEDs do you usually install? Are usually more of a 3000 Kelvin, or if you wanted more of a cooler color, is that? I guess. Yes, I know you're getting amazing deals here, but we have some sort of control over what kind of LEDs get installed.
They're all green.
There's the catch.
No.
No, they're all like the most commonly used color.
The
And-
soft white. I think they're the soft white, aren't
Soft
they?
white, yeah. And we did a lot of testing on the products because we want to give good customer service to people, and we don't want people to be unhappy. And we're really busy all the time, so we don't want to send our staff people back to switch out the light bulbs when people hate them. So, yeah, we did a lot of testing to make sure the products that we're installing are very good.
When you're talking about the soft light, I know I work at Menards, and they actually sell more of the LED, the bright light, which is the natural sunlight. They sell 2 to 1.
Do you carry both in the vans or no? Do you know what they're?
Most of the people, after they get, I usually tell them, take one of each
Yeah.
before you buy a dozen.
Yeah. Yeah, I do the soft white. I just like
80% of the
the.
time they come back, they don't want the soft light.
Huh.
It's harder to see when you're reading and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the house is a lot brighter, especially if you don't have a lot of windows. If you use the bright light,
Yeah.
this is natural light.
If you had the Kelvin up, the soft versus bright, I like the yellow light.
Yeah, that's lower.
That's-
Yeah.
Than
The
although I
bluish.
do appreciate seeing, I like the warmer light.
Yeah.
I need to deceive myself that the sun will come back sometime. So, soft light, yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the manager went with, what's most commonly used. So I believe that the equivalent to the 60 watt is the ones we installed produce 900 lumens and are right around 2700 Kelvin temperature. And I think the brighter ones are around 1300 in the Yeah,
Kitchen, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
1,300 lumens.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
All right, if there aren't any other, wow, look at the snow come down here.
All right, we're out of here.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.